This is a message to all my supporters of this podcast. I'm introducing a new supporters program. You can contribute a small amount as a one-off payment to show your love for this podcast. Thank you in advance for all your contributions. I just wanted to let you know before we start the podcast that I am doing an online podcast course, how to be able to create, get your guests, scale it and monetize it. So please do go to abmpodcastcourse.co.uk and go into the contact us bit. I'm looking for new people to be able to be a podcast creator and really to be able to develop their skills and knowledge into a podcast. So as I said, go to abmpodcastcourse.co.uk and sign up. Thanks.
This is the Absolute Business Mindset Podcast. This podcast will give you insight into business. I will share my thoughts, ideas from content leaders, and experiences from my life. This podcast will educate you in business, and I hope you have a few aha moments on this journey. Today, we're going to talk about lockdown again. So we're in lockdown again. It's one of those situations which I think is really, really difficult to be able to understand from all the different aspects of where we are. I'm not going to bash politicians. I think they're in a very tricky situation. They might not necessarily make all the right decisions, but I kind of think they're trying to make the right decisions. But we've found ourselves in this situation where the R rate has risen in the UK, and we're now in the situation that we are in lockdown again. And I think it's incredibly hard for people who have gone back to work, who are now potentially being furloughed for this month as well in November until December. And I think it's really going to be a hardship on a lot of people. A lot of people struggled for those months and months that we had in lockdown. And I'm hoping that this month-long lockdown will be enough to be able to control the R. But my thoughts and prayers and it goes out to those people that are shielding, who are in difficult situations. I listened to something about people in care homes, and it was a bizarre situation that someone who wanted to take their grandmother home because she had dementia was stopped by the police, and she was returned to the care home because the responsibility for her care was at the care home, not with her family. This seems absolutely despicable, and how the police could even do that. They're following instructions as always the police do, but I think it's absolutely horrible. You hear stories of husbands and wives who are elderly that don't see their wife before she dies, or husband before they die. My heart just goes out to the people that are being affected by this. Yes, business is so important, and whether they made the right decision, closing down shops, restaurants, bars, it's tricky to say. But I think there's just such a huge concern that the R rate will keep rising and cause us so many more deaths and so many more hospitalizations. So for me, everything I do is remotely now. So it's not a massive. When I was working for my corporate job and doing it remotely, it didn't really affect. Some productivity was probably a little bit further down than it was, but I could still do my job ably at home. And now my entrepreneurial life, everything is done remotely, so I'm not necessarily stopped. But I think of the retailers that are being affected by this, cinemas, restaurants, bars, hotels. I just think it's such a huge shame that we have to go through this again. Although all the signs were there that it does return on a second spike. And this is one of the disappointing things, is that they kind of knew this was going to happen, but they let it evolve and play out until the stage where we've had to have lockdown again. So it's really hard. It's a really hard situation. And for me, I'm not going to bash too many politicians or anything because I think they're in a difficult situation. But equally, my heart and thoughts and prayers go out to those people that are affected by this day in, day out, and might have to stay indoors if they're shielding for the whole month, and for all the business owners and employees that are furloughed because they can't get to work or they can't do their job effectively remotely. So, as I said, I just empathy for those people who are going through this and finding this as a massive hardship. All right, guys, just thought I'd give you my thoughts on lockdown. Please do subscribe, download, listen. I appreciate everyone that does. Please, could you tell someone about this, a friend, colleague, family member? Tell them about this podcast. That would be fantastic. Thank you guys so much for your support. Appreciate it. Speak to you soon.
One last thing before you go, I am taking on new coaching clients. So if you are interested, go to my website and go to absolutebusinessmindset.com. Go down to the bottom onto contact us and drop me a note. Put in the title that it's for coaching. I've got 13 years worth of corporate experience where I've moved through promotions. I'm really looking for people that are starting their career in the corporate environment, are stalling in their career, or want a fresh perspective or a change in role. I'll be able to help all you guys that are in those sorts of positions, and I'm here to be able to help. So go to absolutebusinessmindset.com, down to the bottom, contact us, and just drop in the subject that you want to help on coaching. Thanks.